Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving deep into the tragic origin story of Lady Tremaine, the infamous stepmother of Cinderella. In this video, we'll explore her life from the early days of love and loss to her bitter descent into madness. Spoiler alert. If you haven't read Cold-Hearted by Serena Valentino, this video contains major plot points. Let's unravel the complex story behind one of Disney's most iconic villains. Our story begins with a young and hopeful Lady Tremaine, back when she was a wealthy and respected widow living in her family's grand estate. Her first husband's death left her grieving, but she had two daughters, Anastasia and Drizella, to care for. She raised them alone, indulging them with all the luxury her fortune could provide. This indulgence was meant to fill the emotional void left by her husband, but instead, it fostered Anastasia and Drizella's spoiled and demanding natures. As time passed, Lady Tremaine struggled to control their behavior, and cracks in her life began to appear. Overwhelmed by the pressures of single motherhood and her daughter's unruliness, Lady Tremaine takes a break from her busy life to visit the countryside. She stays at the grand estate of Lady Hackle, a friend who lives in the opulent world Lady Tremaine once enjoyed. It's here that she meets the dashing and mysterious Sir Richard, a nobleman from the distant many kingdoms. Sir Richard, with his charm and tales of a far-off land, immediately captures Lady Tremaine's attention. He flatters her, expressing admiration for her strength and beauty. Sir Richard promises her a new life in the many kingdoms, where stepmothers are respected and treated with power. Lady Tremaine, still longing for love and a second chance at happiness, begins to envision a future with this alluring man. Lady Hackle, eager to see her friend happy again, announces the engagement between Lady Tremaine and Sir Richard, much to Lady Tremaine's surprise. The proposal comes quickly, and although Lady Tremaine has some doubts, the idea of escaping her current struggles to a life of renewed wealth and status is too tempting to resist. She agrees, believing this marriage will restore her to the life of privilege she once knew. Shortly after the engagement, Sir Richard departs for the many kingdoms, leaving Lady Tremaine to follow soon after with her daughters and their maid, Rebecca. As they prepare for the journey, Mrs. Bramble, Lady Tremaine's longtime maid, warns her of the dangers in the many kingdoms. Mrs. Bramble speaks of dark magic and the sinister fates of stepmothers in that land, but Lady Tremaine dismisses these warnings, too focused on the promise of a new life. Lady Tremaine, Anastasia, Drizella, and Rebecca set out on their journey to the many kingdoms, traveling through eerie and foreboding lands, including the Dead Woods. As they move deeper into these strange territories, the sense of dread grows. The journey, filled with unsettling encounters, foreshadows the darker turn their lives are about to take. Yet, Lady Tremaine clings to her dream of a new beginning. When they finally arrive at Sir Richard's chateau, Lady Tremaine is disappointed. The home is far from the grand estate she had imagined. It is dark, cold, and crumbling, nothing like the life of luxury Sir Richard had promised. To make matters worse, Sir Richard insists on a rushed wedding, leaving Lady Tremaine little time to process the drastic changes unfolding around her. The marriage, instead of being the beginning of a new, glamorous life, feels like the onset of a nightmare. After the wedding, Sir Richard begins to show his true colors. He is cold, controlling, and demeaning, treating Lady Tremaine more like a servant than a wife. He takes control of the household, making all decisions without her input. Lady Tremaine, once a wealthy and independent widow, is reduced to a powerless figure in her own home. Sir Richard even forces Anastasia and Drizella to work as servants, depriving them of the education and luxury they had known all their lives. As Sir Richard's cruelty intensifies, Lady Tremaine's mental state begins to unravel. She becomes increasingly isolated, her dream of a better life crumbling before her eyes. The chateau, far from being her sanctuary, becomes a prison, filled with bitterness and regret. Sir Richard's tyranny over the household pushes her further into despair, and the once proud and composed woman begins to lose herself. Her daughters, too, grow resentful as their once lavish lives are reduced to servitude. Just as Lady Tremaine feels she can take no more, the Odd Sisters, a trio of meddling witches, appear with an offer. They present her with a vial of poison, suggesting that if she kills Sir Richard, she can regain control of her life and her fortune. The offer is tempting, but Nanny, the wise and magical figure, warns Lady Tremaine that the odd sisters are not to be trusted. Lady Tremaine is torn between her desire for freedom and her fear of the consequences of using dark magic. Before Lady Tremaine can decide whether to use the poison, fate takes the decision out of her hands. Sir Richard dies suddenly, in a manner as mysterious as it is convenient. The odd sisters' predictions come true, and Lady Tremaine is left as the head of the household once more. She regains her wealth and control, but the victory feels hollow. The chateau remains a place of misery, and her daughters, now broken by years of hardship, bring her no comfort. After Sir Richard's death, Lady Tremaine tries to rebuild her life. She meets Cinderella's father, a kind and wealthy man, and sees an opportunity to secure a stable future for herself and her daughters. Their marriage is not based on love, but on mutual benefit. Cinderella's father provides the financial security Lady Tremaine needs, while Lady Tremaine offers him companionship and care for Cinderella. However, this new marriage is not without its challenges. Tragedy strikes once more as Cinderella's father dies unexpectedly, leaving Lady Tremaine widowed yet again. This time, however, her grief is mixed with frustration. She is now solely responsible for managing the household, raising her daughters, and caring for Cinderella, whom she views as a threat to Anastasia and Rosella's future. Cinderella, with her grace and beauty, becomes a constant reminder of the life Lady Tremaine once had and lost. Tragedy strikes once more as Cinderella's father dies unexpectedly, leaving Lady Tremaine widowed yet again. This time, however, her grief is mixed with frustration. She is now solely responsible for managing the household, raising her daughters, and caring for Cinderella, whom she views as a threat to Anastasia and Rosella's future. Cinderella, with her grace and beauty, becomes a constant reminder of the life Lady Tremaine once had and lost. Despite all of Lady Tremaine's efforts to prevent it, Cinderella triumphs. She wins the heart of the prince, and the glass slipper, left behind at the ball, seals her fate as the future princess. Lady Tremaine, Anastasia, and Rosella are humiliated, their dreams of wealth and status shattered. Cinderella's rise to power only deepens Lady Tremaine's bitterness, as she feels completely overshadowed by her stepdaughter's success. Her envy turns to hatred, and her desire for revenge grows stronger. After Cinderella marries the prince, Lady Tremaine and her daughters are left behind in the crumbling chateau. Their once grand life is now a distant memory. Lady Tremaine, consumed by jealousy and anger, becomes more abusive toward Anastasia and Rosella, lashing out at them for their failures. The chateau, once a symbol of their status, has become a prison of their own making. Lady Tremaine's obsession with Cinderella's happiness only deepens her descent into madness. In her final act of defiance, Lady Tremaine refuses to allow the fairy godmother to help Anastasia and Rosella when they plead for her assistance. Armed with a pair of blood-stained scissors, Lady Tremaine tries to maintain control over her daughters' lives, even as everything around her crumbles. She cannot let go of the power she once had, and in a final, desperate attempt to assert her dominance, she challenges the magic of the fairy godmother herself. In a swift act of magic, the fairy godmother turns Lady Tremaine into a statue, freezing her in time as a symbol of her own wickedness. Forever immobilized, Lady Tremaine is condemned to watch from the shadows as life goes on without her. Her ambition, envy, and cruelty have led her to this ultimate punishment, and her once grand figure is now nothing more than a cold, stone reminder of what she has become. With Lady Tremaine turned to stone, Anastasia and Rosella are offered a chance at redemption. The fairy godmother invites them to the palace to reunite with Cinderella, giving them an opportunity to start anew. Though the road to recovery will be long and difficult, the sisters are given the chance to escape their mother's shadow and find their own paths. Their story, however, will forever be marked by the scars of their past and the legacy of their mother's obsession. Lady Tremaine's story is one of tragedy, jealousy, and a thirst for power that ultimately led to her downfall. From a hopeful young woman to a bitter and vengeful villain, her journey serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of envy and ambition. While she sought to control her fate, it was her own choices that sealed it. In the end, Lady Tremaine's legacy is a reminder that even the most powerful can be undone by their own desires. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Lady Tremaine's backstory, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more villain origin stories. Let me know in the comments which villain you'd like to see next.